13 Questions by Man Transcending. Manhood in the Digital Age. Welcome back to 13 Questions. My name is Adam Loyal. I will be the host for you on this episode. Tonight we have Zaid Dahhaj joining us. Zaid is an incredibly disciplined young man. So glad that we got to speak to him. I'll tell you what, discipline is on my mind and a new focus in my life. I thoroughly hope that you guys gain something from this interview. A little bit about Zaid. Zaid is a young man finding his own way with excellence. He's currently pursuing a professional career as a soccer player as a priority. He earns his income right now writing, speaking on discipline, excellent, wise living, psychology, and self-improvement. Zaid walks the talk. He's been reckless, experienced the death of his father at a young age. He's been broke. He's learned from experience that life has allowed him to soak up, and he wants to share that with people so that they can get valuable improvement in their life and they don't have to learn the hard way like he did. So this is Zaid's interview on 13 Questions, and as soon as we're done, there's going to be a bonus round for members. So if you guys like the first 13, stick around. We've got another 7 coming up right after that, and then we kind of go over a few things about how Zaid thought the process was. I always love doing that at the end. It's really heartwarming to feel or hear the gears going and the emotions that churned out the episode and what kind of happened behind the scenes, get to see into the kitchen just a little bit. Plus, if you become a member, you get the option of recording your own 13 questions. So maybe you don't have the technical knowledge or you don't have the resources or the ability or the time to do the editing. It's quite a substantial thing to jump into. We have got you covered because if you know somebody out there that you want to hear answer these 13 questions, then I want to hear them too. And I know there's a lot of other people that do. And email me. Adam@grimerica.com. I will help you in any way that I can, get you on board, information-wise, set you up, get you recording the best possible that you can for your environment, and then I will edit together the podcast as long as it's good, crisp, clean audio that I can work with, and I'm here to help you get that. Then, gosh darn it, I will process, edit, and put together a packaged podcast out into the feed so that you can help share your chunk of wisdom that you discover with all of us here. And seriously, if you're thinking about doing that, don't worry about it being perfect. This episode got off to a bumpy start. The first question, we had some audio issues, switched mics up real quick. I left that in there. It adds to the experience and the audio really improves. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. I certainly hope that you do. And for the members out there, I hope that you guys are enjoying the communication courses that TJ Walker's given us and graciously allowed us to have. It's over $200 worth. He's not making any money while he's giving this to us. He's doing it because he believes in you guys and he wants to help you. I hope you guys enjoy this interview with Zaid Dahhaj. All right, Zaid. Well, welcome to 13 Questions. And welcome back, everybody, to 13 Questions podcast. Thank you for joining us back. Tonight, we're going to be interviewing Zaid Dahhaj. And, welcome, Zaid. You ready for 13 Questions?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be on, my friend.
Same here. Been looking forward to this one. It's been delayed by life events and whatnot. So it's nice to actually be having the conversation we meant to have a month ago.
Yes, absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to this.
All right, question number 1. What was the best advice ever given to you? And would you modify it today?
So I would take, off the top of my head, I can't think of any advice that someone has given me directly, but indirectly, I would say the best advice that I've ever received is to always make the most emotionally difficult decision within any circumstance that you face. So example would be, if you have the option between eating a healthy meal or, going for a donut, Obviously, the most emotionally or the emotionally difficult choice would be to go for the healthy meal. And throughout every area of your life, you'll find that this rule applies to almost everything. And would I modify it? I wouldn't necessarily modify it because from my experience, it covers most areas within someone's life. So I would say that's been the best advice.
Do you find that trickling into other things like, focusing on, eating a healthy diet, things cascading into other levels of your life where you see it like positively affecting you?
Without a doubt. It has first, second, and third order effects. You may not notice them at first, but once you become better at it as in terms of a skill set, then you begin to notice all the little things that are happening, and all the little changes that occur because of that original decision.
Right. Hey Zaid, are you on a pair of like earbuds?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I'm just getting a little bit of brushing on your microphone.
Okay, let me see. Is this better?
Oh, much better.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's completely okay.
Let me see. And then let me turn the speaker on. Okay, how about that?
Sounds good.
Excellent. Sorry about that.
No, that's completely fine. Yeah, just start scratching up there, probably on your beard or something, so.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, second question here. What is the most important lesson you learned from your parents?
Most important lesson that I've learned from my parents, my father, without a doubt, is being the type of man to create a community around yourself and making an impact within that community. My father growing up was a physical education teacher. He was actually my, middle school physical education teacher for about 10 years or so.
Wow.
And he, it was really inspiring to see how he conducted himself within, the school community. And it was really inspiring to see how, he brought about change within people's lives. So that was the biggest thing from my father. My mother, I would say the stereotypical answer, just about being nurturing, caring, loving. My mother was always there for me. She's always provided support for me, whether that means, giving me a hug when I was down or providing words of affirmation. So that's definitely been important. My parents have been a big part of my quote unquote success so far.
That's interesting so I'm assuming you had friends that were also, taught by your father. So you'd see
Yes.
the gains that they get reflected like outward, the things coming from the person that you're around all the time. That's super beneficial, I would think, to seeing where you can go.
Very much so. Most of my close friends that I've known for over 12, 13, 14 years now have come from that middle school. And we've all discussed the important impact that that's had. So without a doubt.
That's phenomenal. So, like, what kind of stuff resonated with you that your father taught you, being a physical ed teacher?
He prioritized discipline. I don't think he did so. He never put it into words, but just the way he conducted himself was very disciplined. He would always go about his business. He would always be on time. He would go above and beyond for within his work and outside of his work. So going about his life in a responsible and disciplined manner, and seeing how for example, kids would change their diets because of something that he would mention, such as soda intake, and the negative impact of that. That's just a small example of what I saw personally.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
What book has been most influential on your life and why?
The book that has been most influential in my life so far has been The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. That's a book that I see pop up, especially within the Twitter realm. I've seen that pop up a few times, but the way David Data writes and the way he speaks to men in general, whether it be young or older men, it really resonates with me, and it makes a lot of sense, especially from my direct experience.
How old were you when you read it?
It was about 2 years ago, so 19, 20 years old, around there.
Awesome. Yeah, it's weird when I look at books. I've gotten really interested when people read them because I think of my life and when I've got books and going, if somebody had just handed this to me when I was like 14 years old, I wonder where I would have gone because it, had such a left turn in my life when I read it. So yeah, it's always nice to see where people, find that moment of change from a book or a document.
Yeah, I can only imagine what I would do if, I was mature enough to understand the concepts in that book at like 10, 12 years old.
What daily habits or rituals do you have?
So for me, it's very simple. I don't like to make it complicated. When I wake up in the morning, I immediately get into a stretching meditation. Uh, I transitioned from a normal sitting meditation to a stretching meditation because I am very big into soccer. I'm on the path of pursuing that professionally.
Oh,
That's
nice.
my goal. Yeah, so obviously stretching is very important for that.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I definitely go into a time of writing. Writing is also one of my skills that I've developed over the past 2.5 to 3 years. So that's a big habit for me. And then, other than that, um, it's mainly, other than that, the another one would be my evening routine. So I make sure I prioritize my sleep. I wind myself down. I might read a book, go into some stretching again. But those three things are the main staples in my routine.
Did you learn the yoga and meditation from your father?
No, that was just something I picked up just from, browsing the internet and listening to podcasts and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I love how yoga has kind of gone from, like a soccer mom joke to mainstream, really hardcore, exercise in so many
Yeah.
ways of both the mind and the body.
Yeah, it's essential. It's crucial in my opinion.
If I were to ask your best friend, what is the one thing they would say that you need to work on the most and why?
Hmm. I think I think my best friend would say that I need to let off on, or at least release some of the pressure that I put on myself when it comes to achieving what I want, or pursuing any of my goals. I tend to get I tend to get trapped, as most people do, within my own mind and emotional state. And sometimes my friends can see that. Sometimes I let that affect the time that I spend with them. I've gotten much better on that, but it's definitely something that can still be improved upon. And then what was the second part?
And why? So if I were to
Uh,
ask your best friend, what is the one thing they would say you need to work on the most and why?
mm. The why would basically be to just distance yourself your from any negative emotional state, so that you can gain an objective perspective,
Do you
so
have
that
any,
you can do things better.
have you found any little tricks to kick yourself out of that rut?
Little tricks.
Yeah, like anything when you get you let that pressure build up and you're trying to get out of it. Just anything that kind of, lets you, decompress from it for a minute.
Mhm. Awareness in general is extremely helpful. So if I can try, so within like the first 10 seconds of experiencing that negative emotion, let's
Hmm.
say, just the cultivation of awareness, and obviously meditation helps with that.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah, being
but
able to
that
just.
cultivation is very important, especially within that, few second time frame.
What are you most curious about?
This, without a doubt, has to be what I'm capable of. So my potential. It really is the foundation for everything that I do. I want to see what I'm capable of within every area of my life, whether that be health, finances, relationships, soccer. That's that's a big driving force for me.
Have you been doing the soccer thing since you were a kid?
Yeah, yeah. And funny enough, my dad actually specialized in. He studied specifically within track and field as well as soccer. So I started at the age of 4 with that.
Oh, phenomenal, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is soccer big in your cultural heritage? Because I dated a girl
Very
that
big.
was Peruvian and everything was soccer. The whole family was into soccer. Brother was going semi-pro. It was phenomenal to be around.
Yeah, I mean, from where my dad is, which is the Middle East, specifically Jordan,
Mm.
it's almost like a religion, like other countries.
What was one of the more embarrassing, humiliating, or humbling experiences of your life?
Hmm. I would say the most humbling experience I've had was um, being able to travel overseas to pursue soccer professionally, and this was about 4 or 5 years ago. And then actually getting a phone call from my mom, letting me know that my dad had suffered his second heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was quite a humbling experience, and it really taught me a lot. It was difficult, but it was necessary.
Yeah. Were you able to see like more clarity through the high and the low, like between those, just had a better vision of like the importance of things?
Yeah, yeah, because and from that second disclaimer, from that second heart attack, he did fall into a coma and eventually did pass away from that.
Oh, man.
But from my perspective, death is it's the ultimate perspective creator.
It is.
Mm,
Yep. Yeah. It puts everything into perspective. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You can't argue with that. Do you have a greatest fear? And if you did, how did you overcome it? If you did at all?
Um, if I were to say, well, my greatest overarching fear is first and foremost regret. I do not want to get to an older stage of my life and then look back and realize, like, oh, I could have given more to whatever I was pursuing. And uh, closely tied to that is not fulfilling my potential, or um, at least not giving my all. So the both are tied together intimately.
Do you worry that there's kind of chasing the dragon in that the goal may be so far ahead that you won't hit a fulfillment, or is it the kind of the ride or the journey to the destination?
It's all about the ride and the journey. That's what I've experienced. I'm I'm going along with the ride. I may not achieve some of my goals, but who I become is much more important than what I achieve in that process.
Phenomenal.
Mhm.
What quality do you most admire in a man and why?
I mean, it has to be discipline, because this is a subject that I speak a lot on, especially on Twitter. It's a subject that I'm fascinated by. When you observe a man that is disciplined, you begin to understand how serious he is. You begin to understand what his values are. You are able to take inspiration from his ability to create boundaries within the world. So it would have to be discipline.
Why do you think it is that most people have a problem with discipline? I mean, for me, that seems like one of the hardest things to just hold on to.
Mm, mm. I think a big part of it is the society, the culture that we live in. We live in a very hedonistic society. Um, when most people hear the word discipline, they automatically associate it with something negative as a form of punishment. But discipline is actually a form of self-love. And, you look around at the food that people eat, the consumerist mentality that people have. It's understandable why people struggle with discipline.
Was there anything in your upbringing that you think gave you tools to be a more disciplined person? Aside from your father, obviously, with doing his
Hmm.
job, it's kind of baked in. But was there anything like extra that you kind of grew up with that just kind of molded you into that initially? Because I
Mm.
look at some people and you almost look at them and you're like, man, like I see you just have a crumbling foundation. You never had the right tools programmed in you, and now you're just kind of treading water.
Mm. From an early age, I would say soccer has served as the foundation for that, because uh, it taught me about putting in the work, being responsible for myself, and then I actually observed and experienced the reward from such an effort. And then I experienced that over and over again over the years of becoming better at it as a skill. And yeah, I would say that process, making that connection, has been essential for me.
Who were or are your role models and why? Or the most positive influences in your life?
So I have one role model when it comes to soccer. That would be Lionel Messi. If for those who don't know who Lionel Messi is, that he is basically the Mozart of soccer. What he does on the field is almost extraterrestrial compared to most other professional players. And I watch him on a daily basis. I learn from his game. I take inspiration from him. But other than that, I don't have any specific um, inspiration. Really, I mean, life really is my inspiration uh, at the highest level, because with every experience you learn something new. With every experience you take away a new insight that you can integrate um, in within yourself, and then utilize in the future.
So I take it then you probably structure your life so that you fulfill these new experiences knowing that they're going to expand you in some other way.
Yeah, yeah. Even if they may not seem like they will, if they're emotionally, turbulent or challenging, deep inside, I understand that I'm going to become a better version of myself because I'm going through this.
That's phenomenal. Yeah.
Mm.
It's it seems like one of the things that holds people back sometimes is when they're not willing to tackle the things that are difficult or going to make them upset. We kind of live in this world of, you go to the doctor, they give you a pill and you're happy forever, and if that one
Hmm.
doesn't work, you get another one. And if that doesn't work, you get a third one that gets stacked on top. And it's a pill era instead of, sometimes you got to sit down and deal with the issue or deal with the sadness and soak it
Hmm.
in and then, turn that into something else. Take that energy. And if you can't dissipate it, redirect it into something meaningful.
Absolutely. Are you familiar with Joseph Campbell?
I am not nearly as familiar with him as I should be, but I know the
Yeah,
name well.
I'm in the same boat, but he does have a wonderful quote. It's not verbatim, but it goes like this: "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek."
Wow. I
Yeah,
love that. That's
that was a
phenomenal.
game changing quote for me personally.
Yeah, I've recently just been running this through my mind, with all the things that have been happening in my life, and you can look at it and feel the pressure of the world and the unhappiness. And then I
Hmm.
frame it as in there's an asteroid coming. There's,
Yes.
a some sort of solar outburst that's going to destroy half the planet and blow off our atmosphere and then cause an ice age and all these horrible things. And I go, then what do these things matter? What does, your financial, state matter? That kind of stuff,
Mm.
that pressure. And then I'm like, that's a mind cage. There's these social constructs and cages that influence our life because we choose to put the energy into the thought. And then,
Mm.
even if the situations are still there, if you can find a way to break your mind from that, then you can be happy even when you should feel the weight of all that world, but you don't. And I've just been becoming just more and more fascinated, just looking at my own life, all these little things that I feel that I'm like, well, if I can just disconnect my mind from that, then
Mm.
it's still there. I can deal with it, but I don't feel the pressure.
Yeah, that's a fascinating perspective. There is value in being detached from certain things, without a
Yeah, yeah,
doubt.
and I don't mean in the like emotional detachment way. I mean in the
Yeah.
logical, way where it's like, okay, well, this is a cage of the mind and I can
Hmm.
think in another way, and when I think in that perspective it disappears like that pressure. So, okay, I don't need to think in this way because I feel the pressure. So, let's just shift the perspective. Okay, it could be a lot worse. When the
Yeah.
cataclysm comes, I'm going to be fine. I'll know exactly what to do because the only thing I can do will be right in front of me, and I won't be worrying about if my car is going to start in the morning. Like that kind of weird
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm 100% with you. We're on the same page.
That's awesome. What institution of society or structural aspect of modern life would you change given the chance?
Ooh, what institution? I'll focus on institution of society. Let's see. I would have to choose the education system. Um, because I'm not one of those people who thinks that the education system is completely useless. I just think it's a system that has not adapted to the 21st century. It is made for the 20th century, and besides that, there are um, a whole bunch of things that should be covered in school, especially for the younger ages, that are not covered at all, such as mindfulness, the importance of
Mm.
responsibility, all of the typical self-development stuff. That's what I think school really needs to prioritize, the
I'd love
education
if they
system.
did that. It's fascinating when you think about how schools used to be, where it was just a teacher in a small classroom with what they knew, and they taught to the interest of the students. And that unstructured, hey, if this kid learns a certain way, that's how we teach them. I think that
Yeah.
that wasn't a scientific thing, but once you start standardizing everything, you take out this nuance and it becomes. I just look at our parents' generation. I've known some,
Hmm.
people in their 50s and 60s, and they get jobs in accounting really
Hmm.
easily and well because they can do all the mathematics, and it's all stuff they learned in high school. It was nothing crazy. And now none of the young people can. And so they have to hire these people that have gone to all the schooling, and they're always more
Yeah.
expensive. Not that, and these people pull in a pretty penny for, a high school diploma.
Hmm.
So it's really funny how the education system, while trying to improve itself, kind of marched down the wrong path.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you brought up the allowing kids to follow their curiosity. That's the fact that our school system doesn't prioritize that is a big pain point for me. Um, I really do think that kids need to follow their natural inclinations and head down the path of pursuing their strengths.
Yes, I love that. I have a friend, my buddy Darren, actually, who you've done a podcast with. His kids went
Mm,
to, I don't know if they're still going there, but for a while they were going to a nature school, which is
wow.
phenomenal. So it's like you get to go outside, and what are you learning? Okay, you might not be learning about concrete buildings and that weird social structure that we've developed, but you're learning about this other world that's out there that you can survive in and how you interact with it and being out in it. And to me, that's just an amazing thing because we've really lost so much as humans with our attachment to nature. And
Yes.
I have a hard time putting one value over the other because even from a career aspect, there's so many things to do in the outdoors that are valuable that especially benefit people. So yeah, I love that there's avenues like that because that would have been something I would love to have done when I was a kid because concrete and shingle roofs were not a thing for me.
Yeah. I'm the same.
What is the most courageous thing you have ever done in your life or seen?
The most courageous thing I've ever done, when I was going back to traveling overseas for soccer to pursue that professionally. That was the first time that I traveled alone.
Hmm.
So that was at 18 years old, and I vividly remember this. The first night I got there, first night I got to England, and stayed in my room. I literally cried myself to sleep because of
Wow.
how scared I was.
Were you in a bad part of town, or it was just the environment was so different?
Uh, it was so different. It was just overwhelming. It was just overwhelming.
Wow. So where were you living then? Were you stateside or were you still in the Middle East?
I was stateside.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't gone to that part of the country, but that's got to be crazy for an 18-year-old to just kind of dive into alone.
Yeah, and I had teammates and I had people who were basically on the same path as me at my age, but I never really felt connected to any of them because they're strangers essentially.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What rule do you have for yourself that you never break, and why do you think that is important?
Above all, I would say the rule is to give myself, give all of myself to the process of becoming better, whether that be learning how to cook, whether that be um, pursuing soccer professionally, as we mentioned, whether that be, learning skills for a new job. My rule is to give my all to the process, to leave everything on the table, and with the understanding that good things will happen if I do that.
Do you set goals for yourself?
I don't set written goals anymore. I used to. Now it's mainly I focus on my priority and I just drill down on it.
Nice. Push forward.
Yes.
Well, Zaid, that is the end of the first 13 questions in the regular show. Yeah, that was fun. You ready to stick around for a few minutes and answer the bonus questions?
Of course, of course.
Phenomenal. All right, for everybody else, if you're not going to be kicking around, I'd like to thank you for joining us. It was, I don't know, I'm having fun on this. I'm looking forward to jumping back in here. But guys, really happy that you're joining us on this journey with the podcast. If you want to go to 13questionspodcast.com, you can head over there. You get access to another 30 episodes. All of them, the first half is completely free. It's actually usually more than half. Is completely free for you guys to download and listen to. If you want to become a member, you're going to get access to the bonus questions, of course, that are coming up. You get access to our weekly journaling prompts that are sent out. You can also get access to doing your own podcast. And this I think is the most exciting. This is going to be a perfect podcast for you guys if you want to jump in and see what you can do with equipment. Anyways, we'll talk about it at the end. So Zaid, you ready to jump into the next 13? I'm sorry, the bonus 13 questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Bonus question 1. What would you tell your teenage self?
What would I tell my teenage self? I would tell him to focus on the things that are important, such as your health, such as the development of your skill on the field as well as off the field. And I would say just stay the course. I would say stay the course.
Do you feel that you jumped off that course or diverted in ways or were distracted and you could have had better focus? Is that because I look at my childhood like that? I'm like, I just had kept my focus
on. I don't want no whole 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 I don't want no whole
Why is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why your suicide rates on the rest so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians and use labels? Now that's racism.
하여 원나 하원네 하여 원나 하원네 여와 하여 원나 하원네 하여 원나 하원네 여와 하여 원나 하원네 하여 원나 하원네 여와 하여 원나 하원네 하여 원나 하원네 여와.
Why is there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why, the night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why, and why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why, and why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes? And why, and why, and why, and why, and why, and why?
하여 원나 하원네 하여 원나 하원네 여와 하여 원나 하원네 하여 원나 하원네 여와 하여 원나 하원네 하여 원나 하원네 여와 하여 원나 하원네 하여 원나 하원네 여와.
This should be considered entertainment and not therapy. We hope you benefit from our resources available at 13questionspodcast.com. Thank you for listening.